I'm Greg Methvin. I'm a staff software engineer at Iterable, and I live in San Francisco. Well, right now, talked about in my talk, I'm working on a data ingestion pipeline using Akka Streams and Kafka and a bunch of other things, but that's one major thing. And I'd say the coolest thing is just being able to use technologies like Akka Streams and being able to kind of teach other people in my organization about how to use these technologies and make them more productive. I don't know, of those three, I'd probably say software architectures. So, well, I think in terms of best practices, one thing is just thinking about how you handle different types of errors and thinking about those things up front and thinking about them when you're actually writing tests. I think that's a really important aspect of how you build any system, and I think using something like Akka Streams makes it a little bit easier to do that. I'd like to maybe dive more into the functional programming side of Scala and learn that's probably the most interesting, like the functional programming stuff is probably the most interesting thing to me in terms of like what I could learn more in. Like I'm already pretty experienced in a couple of these different libraries, but there's a ton of different ways to do things. So just understanding what people are doing right now and how I can do a better job at it at my job, and how I can teach other people at my company how to use functional programming in an elegant way in their own work. How did Scala change my life? Well, I guess Scala changed my life in a sense. So I got involved in Scala. One of my first jobs after I graduated from college, I sort of knew about Scala and was working at a Java shop in around 2011, 2010, 2011, and I started working on a new project, and I decided to do it in Scala. So that was really just like my first introduction to Scala, and actually a couple other people in my company started using Scala as well. And after that, I just said, oh, well, Scala is a cool language. Why don't I try to find, if I'm going to look for a new job, why don't I try to find a job in Scala? So I did, and then that started the journey for me, getting more involved in open source, involved in initially Play Framework, a little bit in the Akka and Scala communities. So I think that really, that involvement in open source was sort of driven by my interest in Scala, and that kind of helped me to learn a lot of things and to gain a lot of useful experience that has helped me throughout my career. So I would say that's the main thing. I don't know if I can name any specific people because I like a lot of, I'd say at least half the people at the conference I think are pretty cool. Like I like the fact that I sort of the Scala community and like this wider community that Scale by the Bay has appealed to is a pretty tight-knit community, I feel, and like a lot of people know each other, and whenever I go to a conference, I meet all kinds of cool people who are doing interesting things, and I think that's cool that I can sort of connect with this community and, learn new things from those people and just keep growing as an engineer. And yeah, just learning about just new stuff in functional programming and in Scala and in how do you do distributed systems efficiently, that sort of thing.